What's up, Apple Podcasts and YouTube and everybody else? Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome back to the Prestige Reef Dork Show, the world's least educational saltwater aquarium podcast.
True.
I am Alex, aka Reef Dork, and with me, as always, is everybody's favourite coral farmer, Ryan, from the UK's #1 coral selling website, prestigereef.co.uk. Ryan, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? Have you missed me?
No.
No.
No, I had a great weekend last time.
Okay. Has the chat missed us then? That's what I'm interested to know.
No.
So far, no.
Yeah, so actually, it almost happened last weekend.
Yeah.
But it was. So I didn't tell you, but I actually originally had plans for New Year's Eve, and then they fell through. So I was like, "Do you fancy it?" And then you had plans. I was like, "Oh, damn it."
Yeah. So,
but anyway, it wasn't to be.
It was nice. Look, to some extent, I did miss it, but it's also nice to have a week off occasionally. So to just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. Did you go out partying, or were you in bed by like 10 o'clock?
No. I was in bed before midnight.
Me too.
I was going to go and see a couple of mates, and we would have stayed up and had a couple of beers, but it did not happen. So cool. But yeah, it's good to be back.
We're a bit out of practice, aren't we? I can feel it already.
Yeah. So what are we talking about again? What's this about? Is this about cars? Or
apparently, it's about Reefbuilders' top 50 vote.
It is. Oh yes, that's a good. That's a good thing to be. That's a good thing to start with, is to explain the new format.
Yeah, so I'd like to know myself.
There's kind of a new format. It's not really a new format, but so up until now, if you the plan has been, there's a thumbnail and a title that has a particular subject, top 10 tangs or whatever, and we talk about that at the end of the live stream. So we do a normal thing where we talk about what we've been doing in reef keeping. We talk about fish of the week, coral of the week. We talk about stuff in the news, reef keeping news, and then we talk about the headline topic. But I've abandoned that now, or not abandoned it, but I've changed it. So the headline, so the thumbnail and the headline is one of the news stories of the week. So there's no end topics. We won't get to the end and talk about a topic, but we'll just talk about that in the news. And then there's something that will be of interest because you'll see the thumbnail and think, oh, it's interesting. But we also get to have the normal conversation, which I think is what people who enjoy this is what they like. I often get comments saying, shut up and get to the point. But I'm paraphrasing, but
that's me sending that to you.
Exactly. But I think the people who actually enjoy it go with enjoy the conversation. And I found a couple of times recently we've tried to rush through to get to the headline topic, and it's not quite the same. And other times we've done the opposite. We've just talked normally, and then we get to the end. There's 3 minutes to talk about how to look after aquapora, for example. And it's like, that's not going to work. So that is the new thing.
There you go.
I
zoned out halfway through that, so I'm just gonna wing it as usual, and then I'm just gonna follow your lead.
Fine. Well, that's basically how it's going to work. So, and James missed me. He says he didn't miss you.
Oh yeah, I saw that already. We both know he's talking about me.
Yeah, all right, mate. Okay, so how have you been? It's been like 2 weeks since we've caught up. What's been going on?
Okay, so where do I start? So the quarantine, the fish that are in the quarantine tank are still great. So obviously quarantine takes a long process. But
what fish was it?
So I still have the jewel tang and the copper band and a royal grammar in there. I was concerned. I'm not gonna lie, I was concerned about how they would get on. Mainly the copper band. I wasn't sure how it would react to the medication, and if it would stop eating and things like that. But that's like the most ferocious copper band I've ever had. So they're doing brilliant. Over the sort of New Year period, I obviously was fed up of being in the house. So I decided that I was going to start fragging my more difficult coral species. So there are some corals which are just easy to frag, things like Montipora and stuff like that, where you can literally just use bone cutters and then just stick them to pads, like not pads, little plugs, of course. But there are some which they require a bit more like attention to detail. Things like goniastrias or favias, where you have to actually cut down like around the polyps. So it takes a little bit more time. And as with anything which is more difficult to do often gets left.
Okay.
So I had about like 30 pieces of just random chalices and stuff like that, and I've just cut them all up.
I see. Okay.
So it could be anything from acans to favias, goniastrias, even like gonies and gonies are a bit different. It's still a bit random how you cut those. But
we're talking about these sorts of corals where there's an individual eye or whatever, mouth, whatever you want to call it, that you've got to go around with your bandsaw. So it's like fine work.
That's correct. One of my pictures is actually there. That red and green one is mine. Yeah.
Which one? This one?
No, right.
Pressed right.
Oh, it's left for you. That one, yes.
The bad picture.
Yeah, it's a bad picture, yes.
It is, yeah.
So now the reason I'm adding new pictures to the website is because I have to frag them. They have to heal. The plugs need, and then that's it.
Not because you're lazy, then, right? I got it. I understand.
Look, I go through stages where it's the same as with you and your tanks. I'm sure you're either very into it and it becomes like an obsession, or you're a bit I'm happy doing something else at the moment, and that is where I am at. I am in the stage where it's become like absolute hyper focus. So I'm loving it at the moment. I went in for some reason. I was like, I might just put the saw on at 7 o'clock at night and then left at 1 in the morning. So you were
fragging for 4 hours until 1 a.m.
Yeah, okay. because you're in the room and there's blue light. You don't feel tired. You don't know what time it is or anything. So yeah, it's because the other thing. What I was thinking to myself, people often come to the farm and they go, "Oh, I really want a piece of that," but they can't have it because it's a big piece. And they go, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get around to fragging it," but I never do. So I just thought to myself, you know what? This is a business. So if people want to buy something, they should be allowed to buy it. It's as simple as that. The
two worst things about going to, and yours is different because it's not a shop as such, going to a fish shop are one, when there's stuff you can't buy.
Yeah.
If it's in a display tank, that's fair enough. But if it's in like the selling tanks and you're like, oh, how much is that? And they say it's not for sale. That's annoying. And the second thing is when stuff isn't priced up. And it's like, how much is that? How much is that? How much is that?
You get both of those in mine.
Yours isn't really a shop though, so.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. Plus, the prices are on the tanks, but people can see them on the website. So a lot of people just come in with their phone, look on the website, and buy off there while they're there. So that is the coral farm. I am going to be getting new corals in next Wednesday. I'm going to the wholesaler. And the only other thing, so I think I said this just before, I had a consultation with someone, and it was the first consultation that ever made me nervous, because during the before the consultations, I send people an email and just say, what's your experience? Tell me a bit about your tank and what are you hoping to get out of the call, so I know roughly where they're at, because then you can maximize the time spent when you're talking to them. And the person came back saying, I'm a marine biologist. so in my mind I went, oh, this is going to be interesting. But it was good, and it was because to be fair, he did put me at ease straight away, because he said, look, marine biology is not just about coral, it's about all it's a wide range of things. And he was the reason he wanted to talk to me was more specifics about certain things. So that was good. But I thought I was going to be tested on my knowledge. So that is probably, and the Waterbox still is covered in Diatom. So
really, has it got better? Or
no, it hasn't got better. As far as I'm concerned, it's got worse.
Didn't you use some kind of Diatom absorbing media?
I was going to, but I forgot to pick it up from Jamie's house.
I'm sure you sent me a photo of it.
That was the photo that Jamie sent me saying, "Do you want this?"
Gotcha. So, I'm skeptical of that. I feel like that wouldn't work. I don't understand what it is.
What I want to do is send off an ICP for the water which is in the barrel to see if it contains silicates. Because if it does, I then know.
What's stopping you from doing that?
I
thought so.
Nothing. There's nothing to stop. Actually, I literally have an ICP test here, so there really is nothing to stop me from doing it.
A freshwater one, an RADI water one.
No. This is because I've got a freshwater and a saltwater barrel, and it only started when
This is in a
started
saltwater barrel. I see.
Well, that's what I think it is. So the reason they're not going away is because I've started doing the water changes again because I put chemiclean in and my skimmer keeps overflowing. So I'll get there. I'm not in any rush.
No, you are not.
So what about you?
Well, first off, you've brought that. Someone's asked in the chat, how would you learning to reef? Asks, how would you deal with silicas? And you sent me this picture of was it Sera, SERA, silica absorbing media? I don't even know what it is.
I've never heard of it before Jamie sent it to me.
Or was it? I can't. I looked at that and I just thought, don't like that. And I'd never heard of it as well. And it's the sort of thing that I would expect if it's a miracle cure, in inverted commas, if it works.
Yeah.
Everyone would use it. But anyway, but how would you? Silicas isn't normally a problem.
Yeah.
But it's almost always coming from your source water. It's unlikely to be something that you're adding to the tank.
Yeah, but I don't have. Remember, I'm using the same water for the farm.
Or your barrel, for example.
Yeah.
So
it comes from like plastics, and obviously that is like the barrels of these massive plastic barrels. So
what are they made of? LDP, HDPE.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like that special food one.
Yeah. Because if it's food, people always ask, "What is this plastic container okay? What do I need?" And if it's food safe, it's okay. And food safe is usually, not always, but HDPE or LDPE. I think that's high density polyethylene and low density polyethylene. And the high density one is solid. The low density one is wobbly.
Can we ban Tom from the chats? Because he said, didn't Ryan say that the barrel wouldn't have any issues way back when?
He did, Tom. He said exactly.
I did not say that. What I actually said was I wouldn't have any issues with freezing. And so far, they have not frozen. So we're all good. Yeah. And it was below freezing last night.
Was it? It's been pretty cold, to be fair.
Well, my car was frozen this morning, so it must have been below freezing.
Actually, my boot wouldn't open this morning. Yeah. So, but like, there's a difference between 0 degrees and -5. So I can't wait for that day to come.
Yeah.
And nor can Tom.
Well, even though he should put a score, and he's obviously got it the wrong way round for some reason.
I'm with you, Tom. It's 1-0. Thomas 1, Ryan 0.
Yeah.
But anyway, doesn't Roaphos absorb silicates? Says James.
Apparently it does. I've heard that myself.
Does it?
Yeah.
It absorbs some stuff, apart from what's it called? Phosphate. Aluminium? Does it? Is that? I don't know, whatever. But supposedly, lots of people say it absorbs all sorts of crap. But
yeah.
Anyway, what have I been up to? He said.
Yeah.
I've been up to a lot.
Okay. That makes a change. That's good.
And it's winter, so there's lots going on. And I looked down my list. I was like, are we going to talk about what I've been doing for 2 hours? But that's not going to happen. But the first thing I wanted to say was probably the most significant. So I went away over Christmas to go and see family and that sort of stuff. I was away for 2 days, basically 48 hours out of the house. And when I came back, I looked at all the tanks, they were fine. My Waterbox tank, the LPS one, which is to my left that you can't see, this one over here, that was looking fantastic, noticeably better. My gunnies were much more extended than they normally are. Just everything looked really good. And people often say that when you have your hands out of the tank, your tank will suddenly look better.
Yeah.
And I've always thought that doesn't make any sense to me.
It's not working with the Waterbox at the moment.
Well, no, but that's never made any sense to me. But someone else I spoke to probably 2 years ago now presented an alternative theory that I think makes much more sense. It's not being away and having your hands out the tank that makes a difference. When you go away, there's no CO2. You're not breathing out all day long. And this is my office, so I'm breathing out all day. So your pH gets suppressed. And when you're away, your pH bumps up a bit. That makes a lot more sense than hands out of the tank, because the tank didn't start. I don't have my hands in this tank hardly ever. So I think that's a better theory.
Maybe for that room. So when I go away, sometimes I've had it where I've gone away and come back and the corals have done way better than when I look after them. And that's because the people looking after them have looked after them way worse than I look after them, or how I perceived to be way worse. For example, they might not change the Roaphos. This was when I had the 1,000 litre tank. And obviously, I now know that those corals were starved of nutrients. So the fact that they weren't doing what I was doing, and they were probably overfeeding as well, and I come back and I'm like, how have you done a better job than me? This is obviously a long time ago now.
But yeah, but so just that I think that's and maybe there's probably all sorts of reasons that it is, but just that that to me is expensive. But it could be that I didn't feed them for 2 days, and suddenly the nutrients were lower and they were happier.
Possibly, yeah.
But anyway, whatever. But I changed because of that. I thought about that. I thought, I've been dosing Calquasa to that tank overnight.
Yeah.
And now what I've started doing is I've changed it so I dose 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I'm in this office like most days, in this room most days, breathing. So I'm probably being paranoid about it. But
you should try and reduce that if I were you.
What, being in this office?
No, breathing.
Reduce breathing. Okay.
Breathing, yes.
I'll have a think about it. But I also bought I bought a new batch of Calquasa a couple of weeks ago. I ordered it, and when it arrived, so it normally says it's from APC Pure,
yes,
which is a bulk chemicals company in the UK, and it normally it's the last batch said 98%, and this one arrived and it said better than 95%.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's weird, but I posted it on Instagram and I was like, yeah, I think I'm all right with that. I don't think it really matters. And a couple of people pointed out that probably means they changed suppliers. And I was like, oh, that's a fair point. So I found another company that sells 98%.
Yeah.
And that I'm sure it's from the same company. It's probably just so like with RODI filters, they all come from the same place. It's just you get resellers all over the place. And I bet it's the same thing with this. But anyway, it arrived and it is 98%. And the other APC Pure, I emailed them about it and they said that they switched in November. So if you buy anything from November last year onwards, it'll be 95%, not 98%. That might not actually make an ounce of difference.
I want to know what is that extra 3% though?
Well, that's the thing. It says greater than 95%.
Yeah.
Which could be 98%, could be 100%. So it could just be that they're just being a bit more cautious with the labeling. It could be that it's less pure. I'd be surprised if it's just being cautious with the labeling. They did send me. I asked them to send me a data sheet for both batches.
But must annoy them so much.
And well, they sent me 2 data sheets, but they were both for the same batch.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, oh, do you know what? I don't care. I've got my 98% stuff. I can't be bothered. And I started looking down the data sheet, and it was like it's not as easy as if it was 2 that were identical and they just had different numbers. That would be easier to compare. But it's not the way it's set out the way I would like it for my tank.
Oh, well, it's not set out the way you would like it.
Exactly. But
they must be thinking there's probably not a single other person that has asked the sort of questions that you're asking.
I know. Yeah.
I would have just used it. But
yeah, I probably would have stuck with it.
Yeah.
If it was all I could have got hold of. But whatever. If you're given the choice of 95% or 98%, you might as well go for the 98. And actually, the 98% was cheaper, bizarrely.
That is weird.
But anyway, annoyingly, I decided, or not annoyingly, really, but after I bought that, after I bought it before it arrived, I've decided to stop using Calquasa and switch to Reef's Elements pH Plus on all of my tanks. I've been using it on the Cade for ages, but that doesn't really take up much. I only use a few milliliters a day. But I've decided to switch because Reef's Elements pH Plus has got 15% sodium hydroxide, which is very spicy and good for pH. So it has all the benefits of Calquasa without the drawbacks. So it has magnesium, trace elements, all these sorts of things. So in theory, it's better in inverted commas than Calquasa because it does everything that Calquasa does, but without the faff.
Yeah.
Whether that's actually the case is another matter. But it's been around for at least a year, I think, and I've not seen any really bad reports. So when it first came out, I was like, "That sounds awesome."
Yeah.
Sit back and wait. And I've not heard anyone say, "Oh, my tank's looking weird now" or anything. So I think it's all right. But I'm still nervous about making the switch.
That's interesting because with some things you change all the time, like your lights, but with others you don't.
Burn.
You don't. Yeah. Well, you don't. And you're like the biggest pusher.
Advocate. Yeah. But the only I say it's got all the pros without any of the cons. That's not quite true. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas Calc is dirt cheap. But I don't really care about cost, because the cost of dosing supplements, whether it's Calcwasser or 2-part whatever, is a fraction of what I spend on the hobby anyway.
Of course,
so that's not, and I make the money back by selling frags anyway. So that doesn't really factor into it, to be honest. But I'm still a massive advocate of Calcwasser, and if it weren't for RZPH plus, and I might go back because I might not like it, but if it weren't for that, I'd still be using Calc.
Do you know how big of a cost difference it is?
Oh, it's huge. It's vast, because Calcwasser is so cheap. The last batch I bought lasted me about 18 months, I think, and it cost me 25 quid, and that was to run 3 tanks.
This is for like 25 quid a month.
Dosing supplements for 3 tanks, 20 quid, 20 bucks. So and the dosing supplements I bought, I bought 10 liters of the stuff, so that'll last me about 3 months, but it's 120 quid.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
So the difference is huge then.
The difference is orders of magnitude. I can't even do the maths in my head, but
well, I don't know about the percentage.
500 quid, 750 quid. It's about 750 quid a year more. That's I hope
you're
right.
Hang on. It can't be right, because you said it was for 3 months. So that
no, sorry.
£100.
Yeah, 750 quid over 18 months, because the Calcwasser lasted me anyway. Whatever.
Wow.
But yeah,
so that would make me pause.
Yeah, but then that's for you, it would do, because you probably use an awful lot. I dose 120. No, sorry. I think I dose about 60 millimeters. Oh, that's a point. No, halve that number. It's okay. I dose 120 mil per day of liquids, but it's diluted 50-50 with RODI. So it's actually only 60 milliliters per day. So it won't last me 100 days. It'll last me 200 days, give or take.
Still a lot of money.
Still a lot of money, but for 120 quid for 6 months of dosing, I'm still all right with that. 20 quid a month. Yeah. Assuming it works. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to Calc.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see. It genuinely will be interesting, because, as I said, because there's such a vast difference of cost.
Yeah. But it's not quite a fair comparison, because really what I'm swapping my I'm not just stopping using Calcwasser. I will also stop using ATI Essentials Plus, because on my main tank I dose both of those. So this will replace both of those. And actually ATI Essentials Plus it's a little bit cheaper than Reef Elements pH Plus, but pence. It's not much cheaper at all. Like, I don't know, 10% or something. So, because that's already pretty expensive. So actually it's not so outrageously expensive, but we'll see. I might be back. I might come crawling back to Calc.
No, I've never used it, so it doesn't bother me.
No,
I know it will shock some people.
It will. Well, someone already said you stopped using Calc. What the? This is Calc powder pusher. So yeah, it's. But I might get back to it. But and this is the only reason I'm stopping is because Reef Elements pH Plus sounds better. And I've been using it on this tank, but I don't measure pH on that tank. So I've got no idea what it does to the pH. It might do nothing. It might do something. Who knows? So I'd like to see how it does full time.
I was just saw Steve Webb's comment in the comment section. Whenever something is said, there's always someone who comes back that says the opposite. And it may very well. Interesting. It may very well be correct. So Steve could be right. So it's just interesting that it's always the opposite.
Randy Holmes Farley says RZPH Plus, some of its claims are simply not correct, or at least misleading. No chemical can boost pH more than Calcwasser, calcium hydroxide, per unit of alkalinity added. Well, that's not right, is it? Because sodium hydroxide does actually a lot more.
Well, I don't know. So this is.
They are probably hiding behind the idea that one, but and that's it. So Calc is limited by evaporation, which is why I have today's 2-part as well. But I've seen plenty of people say that it works and that it does increase their pH so much actually that they have to back off. So I don't have those concerns about it as yet. But that's interesting, because RFH knows his stuff. He's that's why I thought when I saw that comment come up. I'll have to look that up. I'd not seen that, so thanks for flagging it, Steve. I'll look it up.
So what else have you been doing?
What else have I been doing? I bought an ozonizer.
That's interesting.
Yeah, hasn't arrived yet. I've been waiting for ages, because I messaged Ozotech, who are in America, on Instagram, and I said, is this available in the UK? If so, how much is it? And they replied and said, I'll tell you what, why don't you make a video and we'll send you one for free? I was like, cool.
Nice.
And then that disappeared. That there was a little bit of back and forth, and it just didn't ever materialize.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't approach you because I wanted it for free. I approached you because I wanted it.
Yeah,
So now
yeah.
I've got to the point where it's like, do you know what? I'm just going to go and buy one myself. So the one I bought is a sander ozonizer. It doesn't look as good as the Ozotech one, because the Ozotech one, you can replace the main bit that's a wearing part, whereas the sander one you can't. And actually, Jamie, who you were talking about earlier, has got the sander one. But I just want to see how it does, how it goes. I want to see if this is crystal clear water 100% of the time, if it lasts 12 months, all these sorts of things. So
I'll be very interested in that, because I'm considering that myself.
Oh, really?
So,
for the Waterbox?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll let you be the test dummy.
But the trouble with it is, it's the sort of thing that on day one, I will be saying to you, it's the best thing ever. Sell your house, buy an ozonizer, you know, because it's the sort of thing that makes a huge impact. But that's useless information. What you want to know is 6 months' time, how is it? What are the drawbacks? Because there's pros and cons of everything. So what are the drawbacks? Does it take a load of maintenance? Is it only effective if you use, if you don't maintain it, do you lose the clarity and all this sort of stuff? So I'll be interested to see how it goes. But I've wanted to try it for a long time. And it's part of the reason I haven't done it so far is because I don't really understand it. And that was part of the reason I liked hooking up with an ozone company, is because I can get them to explain everything to me.
Because I'm exactly the same. I don't know how it works. So it makes you, anything you don't know how it works makes you nervous, doesn't it?
Exactly. But then, so I've seen this on the Sander Ozonizer on Kraken Coral's website. I've looked at that 100 times over the last year or two, probably.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does it work? I don't understand. It's just like a little box. And I just don't get it. But I think it's actually really simple. I think you just run a couple of tubes, one into the to your skimmer, one into I don't know where that one goes, just into the air. So I don't think it's difficult at all. But I want to. And I figured, you know what? It's 200 quid. I'm going to buy it and see how it goes. It might be that I hate it and it's rubbish, it doesn't work, or just it's fiddly or whatever.
Then you can give it to me.
Exactly. And I've wasted 200 quid. And it's the fact that, because ozone, when people talk about it and it makes your water crystal clear, gin clear, that is the one thing I would pay any amount of money for. Clear water.
Will it get rid of diatoms?
Oh, well, maybe it does do other stuff. I think there are other benefits, but like the one, when you use activated carbon, the next day your tank looks fantastic. So to have that every day is amazing. And given that it does that in theory, why doesn't everyone use it? Is it just because it's scary and people think it will burn your children's eyes out, or so? Because it sounds, as from what I understand, it's safe and it's not actually going to blind you.
I think I think most people run it for a very short period of time in the middle of the night.
That's my plan, is to have it on a plug timer, so it runs for an hour every night, and that's it. Or I'll start like 10 minutes and build up. But it's just, I do wonder why, if it's that good, which it looks awesome, why doesn't everyone use it? Because 200 quid, I mean, how much money have you spent on filters?
I think it's definitely a fear thing. It's definitely fear, because well, I know why people don't use it. It's the same reason why we don't use it. It's because of fear, because of not knowing what it is.
The unknown. All right. Well, I will make a review on it, but I won't do it for 6 months. What I've started doing, I bought a couple of other things this week: a Red Sea auto top off and a Red Sea Reef dosing pump. But because I bought them myself, there's no expectation on me to get a review out within a few weeks or whatever. So, and I'm going to try to do this more. Even if I get sent stuff, I'm going to try to just say I'm going to use it for 6 months, and then I'll make a review. So, and with the ozone stuff, I think I'll talk about it on the live stream, because it will be interesting. But I think day one, how are you getting on with ozone? Everybody's going to say it's amazing. What you want to know is what is it in 6 months? That day one information is more or less useless. 6 months later is what you want to know. So we'll see.
There was one thing I missed. Have you finished? Have you got more of your of your 2 weeks in reefing? Because there's one I missed from mine, and it was actually probably my most favorite part.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
what is it? Yeah.
So, I went to help a friend who is Jamie, who's in the comment section, put corals in his tank, basically. So his tank is massive. Obviously, you've seen it yourself. You might be able to get a picture up. Yeah. So we needed, literally, it's so big that what we had to do, and because one wall is sealed, so you can't like talk through the wall, I had to run round and then talk to him on FaceTime and then position the corals while he was in the tank.
Okay.
So that was probably my most fun day and it was just interesting because anyone who thinks they want an absolutely unbelievably massive tank, you don't. And if you do, you want to make sure you plan it properly from the beginning.
Yeah, I can't. There was a picture of him in a
Jamie.
wetsuit. I can't find it, but anyway,
it's on my. It was
on yours. Okay,
yeah,
fine,
yeah, it's not on his.
Because
I was busy taking pictures of him in his wetsuit, when she was like, "Do not take any pictures of me."
That's not.
And I'm
that's
like,
not creepy at all.
I'm like, it's too late because you're in the water, so you got no choice. But the reason I mentioned it is because having someone who is your friend in this hobby, like, it really gives you something. It like gives you an added thing that you just don't. It's hard to describe. So we get it like during these calls, don't we? You get someone to talk to about of what you're doing, and it's nice. And when we don't do them, sometimes we miss them, and even sometimes we talk during the week, don't we? And it was a similar thing. I had great fun that day. And I think that is actually what reignited my passion for the coral farm, which is why I started fragging everything again. Because
seeing a man in a wetsuit reignited your passion.
What can I say? He's quite the man in the wetsuit. So, but no, it really was quite a lot of fun. And afterwards, he sent me a message going, "You've really got an eye for this," because he was really happy with how it all because he couldn't see where the corals were going. He was just placing them where I was telling them to place them.
Hoping it's all right.
And obviously we had to glue them in, and he wasn't going to get back in afterwards because it's a pain in the ass to get in and out.
Yeah.
So he just had to like trust me. So
what's a risk?
Yeah, it was more fun for me putting corals in his tank than putting corals in my own.
But it's funny that because with your own tank, there's times you just can't see the wood for the trees. Like you see it all the time, and you just need someone to stand back at brand new and say, "Oh, do this."
Yeah.
But,
and because it was for someone else as well, I put a lot more pressure on myself to look at different patterns and what corals were the same and what different color contrasts that went together. So there wasn't too much blue or green near each other.
You might just do, if it was your own, you just do like half a job and that'll do.
Yeah, I just put stuff in and go, it's all going to grow into each other eventually, so I'm not overly worried.
That's my attitude a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But although I'm getting better at that, but anyway. Okay, cool. Would you, if you had, so his tank, how big is his tank? 10 feet long? Something like that.
I don't know. It's massive.
It's huge. It's 4,000 gallons or something. Oh, I'm making this up.
If it's big enough for you to get it, like Jamie's in the comments, so he'll probably just tell everyone.
It's about 4 feet tall. It's about 10 or 12 feet long, and it's I think 6 feet wide, something like that. Would you ever have a tank that size?
To be fair, I like what he's done with it.
That's not the question. I'm not asking if you like Polo Reef's tank. I'm asking.
Well, I don't know. Look, I have to be careful because Jamie's wife might be listening. But I assume there's probably a very large cost of running that tank and setting that tank up. So that's the first reason. I wouldn't want a tank that's that wide. He knows this anyway. And I wouldn't want a tank that's that tall. No. Because cleaning it, and I wouldn't want it to be out of acrylic. I'd want it to be glass, which means it would be really, really expensive. Yeah. Because acrylic is much cheaper than glass when it's that sort of size. And I would also want to have access panels on all sides of the tank, which he only has them on one side of the tank. So that's why he has to actually get into it. Now I've not said anything now that he doesn't already know, because I would say it to his face. But I think even he has said that the access isn't enough for that size.
It's funny how practical things like that matter more than anything on some tanks. Like, so it's still a little thing, like on the K tank, and it's not just K that do this. You can't really see, but this is the front door to the sump, so that opens, and I can see the sump. But there's also a side door on the sump because I've got a cabinet here. It only opens a few inches, but it's so useful having to, even when you open the side door like a couple of inches, there's much more light in there. You can reach parts of the plumbing that you couldn't either. Having access all round, and there's what's the fancy Italian tanks, Elos.
Yeah.
They have, you can remove all the panels all round.
Yeah, the Waterbox does it as well. As in my Waterbox
really?
does it, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, actually, I think you've shown me that before. That's really good. I love that. It just practical stuff like that makes a huge difference.
So, in answer to your question, what I want, if I ever had a big tank, I think I would want the Waterbox tank, but just like longer. So I'm happy with the height of it. I'm happy with the depth of it, because any deeper you can't reach to the back. Any taller you can't put your arm in and reach to the bottom. It's a pain in the ass. Whereas this is more from like an ease of maintaining, like, and then you rather than 6 feet, you can have it like 15 feet.
But if you had a 15-foot long tank that was 2 feet tall, it would look weird.
Would it?
Yeah, completely.
Well,
so I think the dimensions have to be. That's what I think for me, 6 by 3 by 2, as in 6 foot long, 3 foot front to back, and 2 foot tall. That is, if you said to me you can have any tank you want,
3 foot front to back. Oh, yeah, that'd be awful.
Yeah. Imagine the aquascape.
It would be awful. Imagine
the way the corals would look.
Okay, well, the aquascape that you so lovingly put together. Try and put corals on it at the back.
Look how long these arms are. Ooh.
No, I care more about ease of use, because if it's not easy, I won't do it.
Yours is 2.5 foot. That's not far off. But either way, the point.
But even that annoys me. It's like slightly too big.
Oh, really interesting. Yeah. Either way, I front to back width just makes a huge difference. Even like the Red Sea tanks. So the standard, what they call the like a 250, the 350, the 450.
Yeah,
I think they're 20 inches front to back. I might be getting that wrong, but I think they're about 20 inches front to back. And then when you go to the XL Red Sea tanks, they're 23, 24 inches. Yeah. That makes just the world of difference. Your tank will look so much better. Everything's so much easier. You don't have to have really steep angles on your rocks. The corals look more natural. It's just wicked. I love front to back width.
I'm not sure why we'll bring this up, but I thought this earlier. So I saw a picture of someone. They were snorkeling earlier, and it looks like the untrained eye would look at it and go, "That could be in the wild," because it's a picture of someone snorkeling. But I looked at it and I went, "That is clearly in like a big aquarium in somewhere." And then I realized, I thought, if I ever had was like the curator of an aquarium, I'd want it to look natural. I wouldn't want it to look like it did, basically, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
You could see from the aquascape that was not an actual reef, whereas I would want it to be natural. So, and I think if I had a big tank, I would want it to be natural looking as well. I'm not sure how that would. See, the Waterbox isn't natural looking. In fact, no one's tanks really are natural looking. Like, you need to have a much larger scale.
I suppose so, but then I mean, I don't know. I don't want it to look necessarily exactly the way a natural reef looks, because frankly, they look a bit crap.
That's true.
If you could go down and re-scape, and because some natural reefs, they're just enormous brown corals followed by 30 meters of nothing, rock or whatever, followed by another enormous brown coral.
Yeah.
And if you replicated that in your tank, you'd have 2 massive parietes, and that's it, and it'd look rubbish.
True.
But anyway. There's some Ozone chat in the comment section. Actually, hang on. Salinity, yes. Come on,
I saw that.
Just another reefer says, I've not read the question yet. After you guys spoke about the Hannah pen, I checked my refractometer, which is calibrated, and shocked my issues are from running at 1.030 when the pen said 1.026. The pen was freshly calibrated. I'm going to make a video about the Hannah pen.
It seems to happen too often.
There's so much. I've seen so many people saying that they've done this. They checked the Hannah salinity pen, and it's off. So many people, and it reads low. So exactly this. It says you're 1.026, but you're actually 1.030. So I'm going to make a video saying, is this killing your corals? It might not be, but if you've got one, it's well worth checking against something like a refractometer just in case.
I look forward to the email you get from Hannah.
I don't really care if it's. I'm not saying it's about. I will. All my videos like that will always be balanced. I'm not just going to go. This is rubbish. It's killing all your coral. No, there's going to be balance. It's going to be. I'm not going to be saying this is terrible. You should throw it away immediately. I'll be just highlighting an issue and saying, look, a lot of people have had this issue. You might not, but it's worth expect. If your corals are not looking very good and you're using the Hannah pen, just check, just in case.
Yeah, well, that's what I've actually started to say to people in the consultations now, because obviously it caught you out, it caught me out, it's caught this person in the comments out, so it's going to be catching a lot more people out than we realised probably.
Exactly, yeah. And just he's looking to buy a digital refractometer, and yeah, I bought the Hannah one. It's not that Hannah's a bad company; they're a brilliant company.
I'd just be interested to know how accurate that is as well.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. And so I get loads of comments about the because mine was 350 quid, the Hannah one, and the Milwaukee one is 150. So it's like a massive difference. And I'd love to take them apart and actually understand what the actual difference is, because there must be a difference. But there is every chance that it's exactly the same. Yeah. I think it's a slim chance, but anyway. Gomi's Reef says Ozone because BRS said so. I wonder why they said so. I'm half joking around. I think I can't remember what specifically we were talking about. Corona discharge, that was it. The corona discharge cell is the bit that you replace, and you can't, I believe, I haven't got it yet, but the sander one, I believe you can't replace the corona discharge one. And I think you're supposed to you replace it every year or so. When I was speaking to Ozotech, I said, look, send me the ozonizer, a corona discharge replacement, so I can make a video showing you replacing it, and an air dryer, because you can get air drying beads or something. So now I need to work that out myself. I need to get an air drying. I'm sure it's easy to find, but I just want an expert to tell me. But I might see if I can get in touch with Sander and say, look, I bought this, give me a hand, will you?
Just wing it. Just wing it, it'll be fine.
That's probably what I'll do, to be honest. What else is going on? There was some other ozone chat. Not all skimmers are equipped to take ozone. Very true. You need an ozone port and ozone inert tubing. So I've ordered the ozone tubing, because not all some tubing will degrade. I can't remember if it's PTFE or whatever it is, but some will degrade, some is ozone safe. I've ordered ozone safe tubing, and my skimmer is rated to take ozone. But you've got to be careful on that, because not all of them are. HAVO77 says, I love the smell of ozone, which is a bit like sniffing pens.
I was saying, aren't you not meant to smell it?
You're not supposed to. But I mean, he might be joking. It might smell nice. But actually, to be fair, it's like sniffing pens. You're not supposed to sniff pens, but they do smell nice. Like those old marker pens with a ball bearing. And it's the smell of like a thunderstorm, basically, isn't it? That's what people say. And so I don't think he's joking, but you're not supposed to smell it. Do not smell it. I posted a comment on one of the BRS videos years ago where they were talking about using citric acid to clean your pumps and stuff, and I commented saying, yeah, it tastes really nice as well, which it does. And they were like, oh no, you must not eat it. I was like, well, it's what.
Sorry, I read the comment section. What tastes really nice?
Citric acid.
Oh.
I'm not suggesting you eat it, but the stuff I buy is food grade citric acid.
Yeah, citric acid is in a lot of food, isn't it?
A loads of food. This is what makes Haribo Tangfastics make you go. Argh.
Oh.
But anyway, I'm not advising you to eat chemicals that you would otherwise put in your reef tank. But
true.
Anyway, there's loads of ozone stuff, but so there's I've bitten off more than chew. I can't keep up with all of it, I'm afraid. Ozone, apart from this, ozone changed my life. No more carbon, and that's it. Carbon is, I love activated carbon. When you use it on day one, the tank looks amazing. It's just that within a few days, it's gone back to what it was before, and I can't be bothered to. For a start, you shouldn't use too much because it's not good for fish. But even if you could use, I couldn't be bothered to change it all the time. Everyday maintenance is like, I'm not about that life. But there we go. And if you get an air dryer, you shouldn't need to replace the corona discharge cell. Interesting. A lot of love for ozone in the chat.
There you go. Maybe it'll be you soon.
Maybe. I'm almost certain it will. I'm actually excited to get ozone. I think that's the, and I'm not going to make a video day one because I'll just be like, oh, it's amazing. But I'm actually looking forward to getting it. The other things I was going to talk about, I've kind of already talked about already. I bought a Red Sea auto top off to replace my Tunzi auto top off. because the osmolator, it's got a little backup thing, right? A little backup sensor.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So if water gets too high, it sets off an alarm. And when I first got it, I run my return pump quite fast, and I have the water level in my return section quite high. And that means that when I turn the return pump off, it fills up quite a long way.
Yeah.
So when I first got it, it used to send the backup alarm off all the time. I ended up raising the backup alarm so high that it wouldn't go off when you turn the return pump off.
Okay, yeah.
But that kind of defeats the object, because it's supposed to shut the pump off if it's dosed too much. But I did it anyway, and I was just like, sod it. But now what I find is when my weir box gets covered in algae, and I've got an encrusting aquapora growing over it now. So when it gets covered in that, the water level in my tank gets higher. So then when I turn my return pump off, the sump water level gets higher. And so I will have to keep on moving that bloody Tunsy thing up and up and up and up. And I've just got fed up with it, because I have to turn it off every time I turn my return pump off. So if I want to take photos of the corals, I've got to turn my auto top off in case, otherwise it'll beep. And it drives me crazy.
Why does that not happen to me? I'm now concerned why that doesn't happen to me.
You've got the osmolate. So you've obviously got the backup sensor high enough.
Yes. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I've always had it high, because touch wood, it's never stayed on.
But what the part of me is like, the Tunsy osmolator is likely to be pretty reliable, so it's not likely to need the backup sensor. But what's the point of having a backup sensor if you have to have it so high that if it was to, if the pump got stuck on,
it would change your salinity,
massively. So it's and I've just got fed up with it, and it's like, you know what, I'm doing away with it. I don't know if the Red Sea one is any good. It looks very good on paper, but I've not even tested it turning the return pump off yet. There's a couple of annoying things about it that I found straight away, but generally it looks very good. And there's some clever features. Red Sea they've got clever design. They think about stuff. They spend ages working stuff out. And when the two Red Sea things I bought this week, the auto top off and the dosing pump, it's like there's loads of things where you're like, that's clever. I like that.
How did it compare, the cost?
About the same. The Red Sea one was 200 quid. It's 170 if you buy it without magnets. And I think the osmolator is the same price. Tunsy. They just brought out a new one, actually. So osmolator.
I'm a man of routine. So I've been using that probably for like 14 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm like, nope, it works. I'm not changing it.
Oh, that's the thing. I love equipment that's like that. It's just like, it works. That's it. It does its job.
Yeah.
But the Tunsy one, for me, for the way I've got it set up, drives me crazy. So it's just not right for me. So I've changed.
I did have one actually where the board inside corroded. Because
really?
Yeah, see, it's well naughty. Because they go, you're not allowed to keep this in a humid environment, but they're all like, who doesn't keep it in their cabinet, basically. So when the board corroded, they went, oh yeah, sorry, it's nothing we can do. Like, you need to replace it. It only happened once. Because since then I've actually kept them in a plastic bag. I keep the thing in a plastic bag with a zip tie around it so that like no humidity can get to it, and it's never been a problem since.
Do you keep it in above the sump or in the dry section?
I have, so it's in the dry section, but in my previous tank. No, so in my previous tank it wasn't. There was just all one section. I
think that's fair game. Because if you keep anything in there, it's likely to get. I've got my KH Keeper Plus above my sump. Yeah. And I've actually put PC fans in there to ventilate it. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Like my sump before that, it was always sweaty, and it was like in the summer, the temperature, because it was so humid above the sump, the temperature got hot. Now I've installed fans, it's not sweaty and it gets cooler. But I still worry about my KH Keeper because long term, it's a humid environment. It's not supposed to be. It's not like rubber sealed. It's not where it's supposed to be, but it's just sometimes it's convenient. But you've moved it now to the dry section.
Oh yeah, in the Waterbox in the dry section, and on the coral farm, the auto top up is done with the GHL sensors, so they're pretty good. Yeah. So maybe they've not been gone wrong in 4 years. So
generally, GHL is pretty good at longevity, isn't it? Yeah. It's like you're likely to. If I was going to buy something that I wanted to be working in 10 years, I'd probably go GHL.
Well, the reason I went for it on the coral farm is because I needed to install a proper pump. because of the amount of top up water that's going in. I couldn't have this little tiny tube filling up. It's got an actual proper return pump on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Have you actually? I think you've already talked about this, maybe even today. Have you set up the GHL dosing heads to do your water changes?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's when. So the Diatoms only started when I started to do the water change. So I assume that it's coming from the bucket, or not the bucket, from the thing. The problem is those things are so expensive. I think they were like
the buckets,
yeah. I think for 2 of them it was like £500 or something ridiculous like that. But I thought, well, look, it's money well spent if it means I never have to do a water change. But so I want it to work because of how much they cost.
Yeah, surely that's not going to just continually degrade for years and years and years.
No, that isn't what happens. So what usually happens with, because you can even get it from things like your power heads or your return pump, anything that's plastic in your tank when it first goes in. That's why people often have diatoms as part of like the initial stage, like we've set up a reef tank. Now, obviously, I didn't have that at all for months and months and months. Then I started doing the water change with that. So that's why I assume that's where it's coming from. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. It could be like the RO tubing is degrading or something. I know, no, it wouldn't be that.
But there's often something, you've got a problem. Yeah. And it's something that you just wouldn't think of, something innocuous, and then suddenly when you work out, you're like, "Oh no way!" Of course.
To be completely honest, I realized this today. I'm not doing what a normal person would do in this situation. So a normal person in this situation would be siphoning them out, putting new water in every day, trying to get rid of them, whereas I'm literally just ignoring them. So to some extent, can I? Because my theory is they'll eventually burn themselves off, so they'll just disappear. But is that a reality? I don't know. Maybe there's just a dead layer of diatoms, and I got to siphon them out, and that's why they're still there.
But that's a good approach, because patience is usually measured in months in this hobby, isn't it? Or at least weeks. So it's probably
I'm not sure it's a good approach with regards to this. I think I'm just being lazy than most people.
Try it. And someone said in the chat, spend your money on alkatronic and dosetronic, the best thing ever, set and forget. I would never have any machine doing my alkalinity for me. I've already got the KH keeper that measures it for me. Yeah. But I am tempted by the new Mastertronic, the Mastertronic Essentials it's called. So I'll see how that looks when it comes out. But there's some stuff on that in the news, but we'll come to that later. But anyway, that's an hour of rambling basically, and that's basically everything I've been up to. I don't think there's anything else major. Oh, actually, wait, one last thing. I meant to mention this a couple of weeks ago. So this stuff I bought this Reefs Elements Clearview Aquarium Glass Cleaner. I've scoffed at this before. There was is it Siche or Tunzi? There's one company makes this. Fritz, that's it. They make this spray, and it's like, and it smells like kitchen glass cleaner. It's vinegar or it's something. And I've seen people buy it before, and I've been like, what a waste of money. I know. I just use RO water. I know exactly what you're about to say. So let's see. So I've got 2 microfiber cloths, and you put a bit of RO water on, and then you polish it off, and it looks immaculate. And I've just thought, you know what? Someone in a shop persuaded me to buy this. I was like, yeah, go on, then I'll give it a bash. How much was it? I can't. It's quite expensive, about 20 quid. It's fucking brilliant. I know. It's so good. Yeah.
I remember. So obviously, you remember Aaron's Aquarium had a shop, didn't he?
Yeah.
I said to him, are there some products which sell more than others? And he said, mate, you're like, the thing we sell more than anything is that Fritz glass cleaner.
Really?
And I'm like, why? Why is that the thing that everyone wants? And then I got some. Do you know what I actually like about it? So the Red Sea cabinets and also the Waterbox cabinets, when you touch them, you leave fingerprints on them, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
And they're quite difficult to get off. If you use that Fritz glass cleaner on the cabinet, it gets rid of the fingerprints.
That's very interesting. The Cade, because it's metal, is a nightmare for that.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll work on metal, but yeah,
I bet it does. But yeah, so I never noticed that on my Red Sea one, but every now and then when I look at the cabinet carefully, it's a mess.
Filthy, isn't it? Yeah.
You have to look closely, but interesting. I'll try that. But yeah, honestly, this sort of stuff, the Fritz stuff and the Reef Element stuff, whatever, I'd always just thought, what a waste of money. but it's really good. It's really good. But
I
anyway,
wonder what it is. It's probably literally is just vinegar and RO water.
It smells like the kitchen cleaner, like the bathroom sprays that you get.
Yeah,
I don't think it says, to be honest, but
I assume it's fish tank safe, so that's probably why.
Well, that was I don't know, but whatever. It's the one thing about this. This is going to sound like an advert, but it's got this spray cap. You can't really see it, but this will last ages. It sprays on a really fine mist, so this will last for absolutely ages. It's brilliant. I'm a convert.
There you go. Well, we better go buy stock in Reefs, Elements, and Fritz now, because all of a sudden 100%. Everyone's going to be buying it.
I'm going to work out what it is, bottle it, and then brand it Reef Dork and sell it for £1 less.
There you go. You probably could do that. It's literally it wouldn't be that difficult, as I said, to just test it out with RO water and vinegar and see the effect.
Exactly. Pay a graphic designer to make a good label.
Plus, anyway. Don't put Reef Dork on it. Put like a premium brand like Prestige Reef, and then people will buy it. So
outrageous. But yeah. Anyway, so that's what we've been up to, and now we move on to member questions and Facebook questions. Oh, actually, one last thing. Someone said that Tunsy in the chat. Tunsy have just brought out a new ATO. They have. I did look at it, but I didn't want Tunsy. I wanted the Red Sea one. I think it looks really good. And they've just brought a new pump as well, he said. And I've been running that pump for a few months now. And it's really good. It's very, very quiet. So I can tell you that is good. Are you chuckling at Peckham Spring Water?
I literally do you know what that is referencing?
Only Fools and Horses.
I watched that episode yesterday. I literally watched it yesterday.
I haven't watched that for probably 30 years.
I've literally just watched I'm on the last 2 episodes of the entire everything. So that's what I'll be watching after the live stream tonight.
Did you watch Men Behaving Badly?
No, I've not seen it.
That's brilliant. Anyway.
I remember Only Fools and Horses from when I was a child, and then it was just on. I saw it on Sky, and then I was I might as well start watching from the beginning. And I've just binge watched the whole thing.
Yeah, it's very good. Play it cool, play it cool. Trigger, play it cool. Falls through the bar.
Yeah. I didn't. Everyone thinks that's funny. I didn't think. I was like, I don't think that's funny. So I just didn't. That
was a classic. The chandelier dropping as well, and
that is a good one. Yeah,
it's just it's just brilliant. Boise is good as well.
So many of them are dead. I didn't know this. Boise's dead in real life.
Is he?
Mike, the person who ran the bar is dead. He's only 50.
David Jason must be dead.
No, well, he wasn't when I last checked. I'm pretty sure he's not.
Sorry, we're just diverted.
we've diverted.
He's 83, actually. He's relatively young.
Yeah.
Anyway, Only Fools and Horses chat. Americans are like, what the hell's going on?
I think Trigger might be dead as well. Maybe. But
Trigger.
Anyway, moving on.
Do you know who's not dead? Rich's Reef, who's asked a question on...
okay. I was never going to guess that, was I?
A member's question, you weren't. He says, shout out to Ryan. Oh, it's not a question. Shout out to Ryan as I visited his farm with my dad between Christmas and New Year, and we had a great time and got some lovely corals. Also, can confirm the King Eye Angel is more impressive in person. My dad has been in the hobby over 30 years, and it was the first time he'd ever seen one in person.
Yeah, I remember.
So some people do like the King. So you remember him, yeah?
Someone came and went, looks a bit brown. I was like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
I was like, firstly, it doesn't even have any brown on it at all. Well, maybe a little bit, but it's like half white.
David Jason has a reef tank.
No.
Oh, that's amazing.
Is that actually true?
Play it cool. What is play it cool? Do you know who Jose Aldo is?
Nope.
UFC fighter, ex-UFC. Well, he's still fighting. He's got a reef tank. He's one of the best featherweights of all time. But there's some people.
I've just googled David Jason reef tank, can't find anything, but
I want to believe it, so I'm having it.
Me too, because if it's true, I'm going to try meet him.
Yeah.
Like,
I bet he's watching this. All right, Jace. How's it going?
Yeah.
Do you want to come on? And
you just call him Jace. He's called David.
I know, but Jace, that's what I call him because we're mates. So.
Oh, I see.
Ice-T had a reef tank. It's hilarious. Aldo. Yeah, Jose Aldo did. He was on the, if you look on the Worldwide Corals Instagram page, they had a photo. Vic was took a photo with Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo is a big deal in the world of mixed martial arts, but anyway, seriously big deal as well. Like if you go to Brazil, he's a hero. Anyway, I digress. So Rich's Reef enjoyed his visit to the farm, and the second post from in the YouTube member section, can't get my words out, is from Licia Reese, who says, "Happy New Year, both." With a little party popper emoji. I think I'm currently experiencing allelopathy, coral warfare. Have you ever heard it called allelopathy? Coral warfare in my mixed tank, my mixed reef tank. Have either of you had experience with this? Yeah. What are the signs and how do you stop it? Yeah, all the time. Yeah, it's a bloody nightmare. How do you stop coral warfare other than split the softies from the rest? Oh,
I think it's the toxins is
exactly.
What
yes. Yeah.
So
allelopathy is a common biological phenomenon by which one organism produces biochemicals. Right. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So the carbon takes it out. I also think ozone might break it down as well.
Yeah. So I did experience that in my first ever tank, which was a softy /LPS/SPS tank.
Yeah.
And I when I took it, I had a big toadstool coral, and when I took that out, the tank looked much better. So I just got rid of it. But activated carbon breaks it down. It removes the toxins or whatever.
Yeah.
Same for ozone. But I don't think there's really. I don't know. I'm not speaking from a position of experience, but I don't think there's much you can do about it beyond ozone or activated carbon or
take them out
because it happens. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, but no, coral.
There was some very prominent person. I can't remember. I might have been on Reefbuilders that basically went, "It doesn't exist. It's not a thing." But I can't remember where I got that. It was relatively recent. That information. I do have soft corals in with the LPS corals. I have no idea if it makes a difference, although I do run carbon intermittently. But it's one of those things where I believe it's true, but I don't know if it is actually true, if you see what I mean.
I can believe that it's not true, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But and my experience of this was a long time ago, but I believe it to be true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Allelopathy, there you go. New word for the vocab. Thanks, Licia. I don't know if that really helps. But
well, we told them that
there is a way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
Ozone.
So, or move on the toadstool and get some cool corals. Not the toadstools aren't cool.
Get some acros. Yeah.
No, not acros. Oh, no.
What was I going to say? So okay, so that is the end of the YouTube member stuff. But there were a couple of things from the Facebook group. There are actually loads of things from the Facebook group, but because it was over the course of like 2-3 weeks, when I went scrolling through to find it, it was just like I couldn't find it all. So I've rounded it down to 2 things. One of which I was going to put in the news, but I'm going to do it now anyway. So this is from Jamie, who's the guy we referred to earlier.
Yeah, I've been following this.
So he had his Ion Director delivered this week, and I've seen a few people say the same. So this was the GHL Ion Director was announced 4 years ago. Loads of people placed pre-orders, and they just I think there was an initial batch that were delivered, and then there was a problem with them, so they were recalled or something, and then they've been working on it. But anyway, it's now out. I thought it had disappeared. I thought this product didn't exist anymore.
No, I knew it was always coming. I just didn't know when.
I thought they'd mothballed it, but it's out. These are his first results, and he said I think he's sending off an ICP to see how they compare, but they're roughly in line with what he was expecting. Calcium, magnesium, sodium, nitrate, potassium. It's a weird mix of stuff, isn't it? I guess it's the stuff that they know they can test rather than anything else. But that is a slightly weird mix.
I don't know if originally the original one was meant to test phosphate. I might be no, actually, no, I don't think it did. Because I remember saying in a video somewhere that if you've got an alkalinity, one of their KH directs as well, it basically does everything, and you just need to have a HANA checker for phosphate. So, yeah,
fair enough. But now
there's a phosphate one as well, isn't there? Just not from GHL.
But I was about to say phosphate must be difficult or maybe they just can't measure it with this probe. But anyway, if I was well up for this before, I fell out of love with GHL because I couldn't get on with the software. But before that, I was well up for buying this because I think it's 800 quid, which is quite a lot of money. But for 800 quid, and maybe it's gone up now, maybe it's 900 quid, I don't know. But to measure calcium, magnesium, and nitrate automatically, if it's reliable anyway, that's not bad value. I actually think it's expensive, but it's not bad value. Sodium, I don't think I care about, but maybe I should, because sodium's probably the most abundant thing in your tank, isn't it? Apart from H2O. And potassium be useful, to be fair. Actually, I'd like to know what my potassium levels are, apart from ICP tests.
I think it should be nice to just not have to test your calcium, magnesium, nitrate, or alkalinity.
I like that. But so I will see how that goes, because I could conceivably see myself getting that. I want something to test lots of parameters.
Yeah.
And there's nothing yet that's jumped out at me that's like, that's it. And when the iron director is relatively compact compared to like the Mastertronic. You seen a Mastertronic in the flesh?
Yeah, they're massive.
I'd need an extension. They're huge. They're massive. This is quite small. So
the problem with those is that you want your tank to look like a piece of artwork in your house, or most people do, and then you've got this big orange box sitting next to it because it takes up your whole cabinet.
The Mastertronic, yeah, and that's I have a second cabinet under my TV that it could go in, but it would have to go there because it would take up all the space in your dry cabinet. But the GHL one is relatively small. It's actually still quite big, to be fair.
Yeah,
and I find my dry section of the cabinet is already chock-a-block.
It's done with a probe as well, isn't it?
Yeah, they've designed their own probe, I think.
So I don't know how it works, but is that going to be more reliable than like with reagents and putting this in here and this in here, like with how all the other ones work?
If it's GHL doing it, I would imagine it's more reliable because they're the sort of company that the most important thing is quality, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas other companies are concerned with other things like the way it looks or marketing, whatever.
Cost.
Cost is the big thing. But I feel like GHL cares about quality, so I would imagine, and that they do alkalinity testing the same way everyone else does with the pH. You add a bit of acid until the pH goes from one level to another. So I would imagine that that's the best way to do it, but I've got no idea. Yeah. But it's interesting. And now it's out. If in a year's time everyone's loving it, I will consider it. But if it's crap, it's crap. So, but interested to see. And now they're out. I'll keep an eye on it. The second thing from the Prestige Reef Dork Show Facebook page, which you should join if you're not a member already, really nice, friendly group. This dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a monster. He's referring to the thing on the end of the stick. And Darren says, yeah, that's what she said. Bobbit worm.
I had a feeling this was what you were going to show.
Yeah. Let me just see if I can zoom in. Is that his head? I think that's his head. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's what, 18 inches long?
No idea.
Maybe a bit less than that, but that's a horrible.
You're used to exaggerating in inches, aren't you?
Hey. But yeah.
Help myself.
Christian, thanks for sharing. I'm going to get it off the screen. It's still up on my screen because it's disgusting. But yeah, I want to know the story. I didn't look at the comments. I want to know the story behind that. Because normally some people, like, their fish start disappearing. They're like, what the hell? And then they rip up their entire tank.
I know the story because that's the person I had the consultation with.
Oh, really? Is he the marine biologist?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Tell me.
And well, there is no story. Like he did have an issue with some of his corals, but I don't think that was what was being caused by it. It wasn't even an issue. He wanted to increase growth with his corals, but I just said to him, he just sent me an email after saying, "Oh, look what I just found in my tank after the call." So it was just something he didn't know it was there. It just popped up.
Okay, interesting. Did you tell him to use Calquasser to increase his growth?
I think he was using that. I've talked to so many people, so it's hard to remember. I think that was what he was using.
Yeah,
you're not using it anymore. So
well, I am actually.
Stop promoting it.
Just I won't be in the future. But what was I going to say? That I still get the question I get asked most still now about Calquasser is, I'm dosing Calquasser, but my KH keeps going up really high. How do I how do I use Calculator to increase my pH without getting my Calculator, without getting my KH to go up? You don't. It's the answer. But and so people still, that they just think, oh, I just need to dose Calculator to get my pH up. And because Calculator is quite a weak solution, you have to dose a lot of it to get your pH up.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, my alkalinity is going up. How do I stop that? You don't. That's what it does. But don't ignore alkalinity. Oh, what have I done? I'm not done anything. We're fine. I clicked a button and the screen changed at my end. Anyway, all right. So that's members and Facebook questions, which means we're on to the Prestige Reef Fish of the Week.
Oh, there's no jingle, is there?
No. Were you waiting for one?
I was like, there was a pause. I was like, I am so out of practice of doing this. So I decided to go for it is a fish, but it's not what would commonly be seen as a fish. I'm going for a zebra eel. Just because I thought I'd pick something weird that not many people have for some reason. Zebra eels are supposedly the most reef safe eel that you can get in the hobby.
Yeah.
Snowflake eels are the other ones that people get, but zebra eels are supposed to be safer with regards to eating fish. They obviously will eat inverts because that's just literally what their diet is. And interesting fact, I once saw a clownfish hosting one.
Oh, really?
There's a video in one of my I got like a clip of it where the eel is all curled up and the clownfish is like wiggling inside the spiral. So I imagine it probably annoys the clownfish every time it moves. But I just thought that would be an interesting fish of the week. Because I've always wanted one.
Really, there's a guy on Ultimate Reef selling. I don't know if he sold it now, but he was selling it, and it was enormous in his tank. But he was wanting to make sure it goes to a good home. Not that you wouldn't provide it with a good home, of course, but yeah, I think I read that he was saying it doesn't eat things you don't want it to eat. But someone at a local fish shop that I won't name once bought because you can buy fish from the wholesaler. Shops buy fish from a wholesaler and then they bring them back. Someone once bought what they thought was a zebra eel, but it was actually a moray eel.
Okay.
And a proper moray eel they get to like 10 meters long.
they also look quite different, depending on what moray eel it is.
Maybe you didn't think it was a zebra, but anyway, but cool. Yeah, they're cool fish actually. There's actually the closest thing that most people more people.
Say it's not a fish. I'm pretty sure it is a fish.
Technically, it's not a fish though.
Well, it's going to be the Prestige Reef Fish or Eel of the Week then.
It's an eel of fish. Is that like?
I'm pretty sure it is a fish.
Ray-finned fish belonging to the order Anguilliformes.
There you go. It's got fish in the name. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, I think if it's a ray, then it's a fish, but it's a different. Maybe that's what he's talking about. It's a different animal or whatever. What is a fish? Fish is a term that is applied to everything from a neon tetra to a great white shark. They're not the same thing. It's like calling a monkey and a bird the same thing.
No.
All right, I'm playing with it.
No, there are certain classifications that like specific things that apply to certain categories of creatures. For example, mammals. Oh no, because there's two that don't give birth to live young.
Platypus.
Yes, but they have fur. There you go. Mammals have fur, for example. So there must be some classification for fish as well. Oh
yeah, but just fish is fish is a stupid word because we apply it to everything. Jellyfish. That is literally not a fish.
That's true.
Starfish is not a fish.
True.
You're telling me a starfish is the same as a
they're not scientifically classified as fish though either, are they?
No, I'm not saying the scientists are wrong. I'm saying we're stupid human beings, normal people.
Yeah.
Anyway, I stand corrected, said the man in the orthopedic shoe. Something to do with gills, apparently. Technically, a shark is not a fish.
I'm pretty sure that is a fish because the world's largest fish is a whale shark, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't that something to do with it being a ray though? I don't know. Like it's bony something. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. It's fish. It's a fish.
Whatever.
For our purposes, all fish are fish, even starfish and all that. Is there a Prestige Reef coral of the week?
I always, for some reason, like just don't do coral of the week purely because I think I spent all my time doing coral and I've forgotten which ones I've already done.
If I see one more cup of coffee.
I thought I'd go for papaya clove polyps, but I'm not sure if I've actually done that already.
Ooh, papaya.
Because they are a soft coral, so they grow fast, and they're one of the ones where it's a soft coral and people love them. So you don't get bored of papaya clove polyps, just like you don't get bored of like a really, really neon green bright toadstool. Whereas if it's just a beige toadstool, you're like, yeah, it's beige. Yeah. So yeah, papaya clove polyps are they're actually on the website because I've put them in stock again. That wasn't why.
When I googled it, one of the pictures, here you go. This is your picture.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a terrible picture. That's a terrible picture. That might be that might also be a wrong. So that's an old price for them. Yeah, that's an old price. So I need to change that. Pardon? No, as in that is what I said, but that's an old.
Oh, right.
So basically, obviously, when you have corals, so that picture was taken 4 years ago. Yeah. So I obviously uploaded it, put it back in stock, but never checked the price. So
I'm actually going to put clove polyps in my reef casser. I think I
got some 60 quid ones if you want them.
Yeah, I'm not paying that much.
I don't know what I go for these days. But the frags aren't. They're not. So this is what I do. You know how it said 1 or 2 pieces? Yeah. The frags I'm selling, I've got like 15 heads on them. So
yeah. That's not always a good thing. A lot of people don't want if you buy a 2-head Zoa and someone sends you 30 heads, you don't necessarily want that.
Why not?
Because I want to buy a small frag and put it in the right place and let it grow out.
Oh no, I do that literally all the time. If people buy 2 heads and more often than not they get 12.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Most people probably do like that, but anyway, but I will be getting clove polyps in my reef casser because basically in that tank I put what's it called? Xenia in it. Yeah. I've put a Kenya tree in it, and I'm putting clove polyps in it because I don't care if it gets overgrown. I want it to get overgrown.
Yeah, true.
So, technically, a clownfish is more closely related to a human than it is a shark because sharks and bony fish diverged so long ago, which is all the more reason why it's stupid to call all fish fish because fish are not fish. They're not the same. Anyway, here we go. More science. Fish are aquatic vertebrate animals that have gills but lack limbs with digits like fingers or toes.
There you go. There are no fingered or toed fish out there.
Fish don't have toes. # fish facts. And Jamie says Kenya tree is his biggest regret. Yeah, but again, I don't care if it drops babies. I don't care. So I would never put that. I've never put any of these corals in my main tank, even the little cade.
What I find interesting is they don't get out, like they don't go crazy in the farm. Like green star polyps and things like that. Actually, to be fair, the Xenia has it's stayed within the vat that the Xenia's kept in. It hasn't like escaped and gone through the pumps and all around all the displays and all of them, which is what the reputation it has. So is it as bad as we think it is?
That's because of allelopathy. Which is
why
that list.
I know what you're doing, but why? Why would that be that it hasn't moved?
I know.
I thought one day that it would get sucked into a pump, get blended up, and then just spread everywhere, and it would be a terrible idea. But Xenia is still, it blows my mind. It still is one of my biggest sellers. People
it's
love
so
it.
Cool. That's the thing. Like having it in the reef casser, it's an isolated tank. It's not going to spread anywhere. If it does, I don't care because it will look awesome.
Yeah.
So for me, having the opportunity to have Xenia again is fantastic. And because if I'd never put it in the cage because it would take over and the tank would look awful. But in that tank, it'll look fantastic. What's his name? Inappropriate Reefer's got a small tank with mangroves in it.
Yeah.
And he's got a load of Xenia in it. It looks fantastic. The surrounding of this live stream, it just looks so good. I can't wait to have. Well, I've got it. I can't wait to have it grown out though. I love Xenia.
And every inexperienced person, it's their favorite coral. Anyone who doesn't know about the hobby that comes into the farm, you go pick a coral you like. They go, that nice pink one.
Yeah.
Like, what? Not this 200-pound chalice coral. You want this green one that everyone hates.
1 centimeter frag. But it's just, I can look at it all day long. It's wicked. There was something else I was going to talk about. I can't remember what it was. Luke Allen asks a question. He says, have you experienced with buying water from natural seawater supplier? Never heard of them.
I have. Loads of people use them. I'm amazed at how many people say, like the people I talk to during the consultations, they go, oh yeah, I buy my water from the natural seawater supplier. I'm like, How are people like? Firstly, how is it viable for them to be sending like water all over the place? If you see what I mean, because it's heavy.
Yeah, yeah, very heavy.
I think they're relatively local to me, actually.
They're based in Croydon, so that's not. It's East Surrey, and I'm West Surrey, but that's
there's no sea near Croydon, is there?
There's the Thames. That sometimes has a bit of salt in it.
I'm pretty sure. For some reason, I have a feeling the person used to live near Brighton or something. I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad. I used to use natural seawater myself. I don't know if it's okay to store it for a long period of time. I used to literally just warm it up and put it straight in. Once it had a cigarette butt in it, that is not a joke. That is actually true.
Oh dear.
No, just to clarify, the natural seawater supplier didn't supply water with a cigarette butt in.
You got it.
I went down to the beach to get natural seawater, and it had a cigarette butt in it.
I've never heard of them. I didn't know they existed. They look like an established company. But I don't like the idea of natural seawater personally. I think if I lived in Bora Bora, French Polynesia or the Maldives, and I had a pristine supply that I knew there was no contamination between source and collection and all that, I might be up for it. But I just don't. I'd rather make my own synthetic salt that I can control, and I know what's in it, basically, or maybe I don't know what's in it.
It says £8 for 25 litres. How does that compare to buying it from the fish shop?
Buying it from the fish shop, I don't know. How does it compare to £8 for 25 litres? That's quite expensive.
Is it? I don't know.
Well, not compared to buying it from an LFS, but compared to mixing your own, that's quite expensive.
Yeah,
it cost me a lot less than £8 to mix up 25 litres, but I don't suppose that's the point. But no, I've never heard of them. They source their water from the southwest coast, according to Luke Allen. I get mine from Spotless Water. Spotless Water is a controversial company. Some people say it's awful. Some people say it's brilliant. I wouldn't use them personally, but I've never used them, so I couldn't tell you.
They've had 91 reviews, and it's 4.9 out of 5. So, and I think that point is they don't give you 5 out of 5 for some reason. That Trustpilot doesn't give anyone 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Because everyone's voted 5 stars. So
yeah. That doesn't really mean much to me, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't use it personally. I'm not saying you shouldn't do. It's just saying it's not my cup of tea. And I'd never heard of them. But cool. Are they new? That was the question. Don't know.
No. Some of the reviews are from 2019.
Natural seawater supplier is a weird name for a company.
Well, that tells you exactly what they do.
That's like you setting up a coral website called
I Sell Coral.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, coral selling shop. It's like,
yeah.
There you go. And this guy's James's local fish shop sells water for $2.25 for 10 litres. So £5, let's say, for 25 litres versus £8 for the natural seawater stuff. So there is a premium, not a massive premium, but I don't know. Whatever. I've never used it, so who knows? And that was, we've just done the coral of the week. I can hear tapping. Are you punching away on your desk?
Oh yeah, I'm typing. I was reading something.
I see. Fine. All right. Well, in which case we'll move on to the news.
I just got told off, didn't I?
What did you get told off? Oh, by me.
Yeah. See that? Keep me in line sometimes, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. What was I going to say? News. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Right, there's loads of news this week. So, first things first. Ion Director. I can take that off because I've already talked about it. First things first. There is a new local fish shop opening in the south of England. It's called the Coral Hub. They also sell corals online. I think you mentioned this to me, or I mentioned this to you earlier in the week.
Yeah, I told you.
Yeah, that's it. It's just outside Portsmouth. It opens on the 26th of January 2024, so 2 weeks. And
you going down there for open day?
I probably won't go on the grand opening, but I'll go down at some point because I don't live a million miles from there. I think it's in Horndean, which is not on the island of Portsmouth.
Yeah.
It's north of Portsmouth. So yeah, cool. New shop. Like it. And they're on Instagram if you want to follow them and go and check them out. They're probably, I think, are they on Facebook? I can't remember. I'm following them on Instagram. So the Coral Hub, you can search and you'll be able to find them. I don't know anything about them, but I know they sell corals and I like places that sell corals. So welcome to the hobby. Not to the hobby, but you know what I mean. Anyway.
To the community.
To the community. Welcome. I know. Thank you for setting up a shop.
It'll be interesting to know, because every shop that I've ever been to where it's like the grand opening is usually half filled with stock. So it'll be interesting to know if that is what happens. And the reason it's half filled with stock is because as soon as they get the fish in, they want to sell them. And because the systems are new, you can't put loads of fish in them.
Yeah.
So you almost need to like fill it up, wait a month, put more fish in, and then open. But that isn't usually what happens.
It would be most shops, when you're starting up a new business, you don't want to spend an absolute load of money. You need to spend some money, which you're always going to have to invest some money. Then you need to start selling stuff to get it in before you. So it wouldn't. There are a number of reasons why it wouldn't make sense to have this massive shop full of stuff. But I don't know, whatever. But I'm not. I just don't. I think I won't be around that weekend. But I'll definitely. that will be on my list because it's the nearest shops for me are Reefkeeper Moss End, Aquatic Emporium,
and me,
and Prestige Reef. There's another one I'm missing. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, and then there's the Ocean Project, but that's a long way away, and I've been going there less and less lately.
Fareham.
So one that's closer.
The Maidenhead in Fareham, isn't it, or Farnham that you go to?
Oh, Farnham, yeah, the one in Fareham.
I don't know about Fareham. I don't know if I've been there, so I've
not been for a while, but
I knew you went to one of them.
yeah. The one in Fareham used to be a bit grotty, and I didn't go. But it was a freshwater place that had some saltwater fish. But that Maidenhead Aquatics for saltwater is a bit hit and miss. I hope I'm not being too rude. Some of them are really good. Reefkeeper, which is the posh version, the saltwater version.
Yeah.
Some of them are not so good. There's worse ones than Fareham. I've been
just clarifying.
It's not the worst, but it's not one of the places I would go to. But there's a new shop in Horndean.
Well, it looks like we now know where we're going to meet for our fish shop outing. Because if you've not been there and I've not been there, might be the way where to go.
Cool, I'm up for that. We'll do a little tour. Aqua H. Oh, that's a point. I started a poll ages ago. 153 votes. That is the most votes we've ever had on a poll. And the question was, are you going to Aqua H? 77% said no, but then there's people watching from outside.
True, yeah, true.
So that's, I don't know, 30, 40 people. I can't do the math.
We should redo the poll saying, if you're in the UK only, are you going?
Yeah, indeed. But anyway, that's a good amount of people are going. I'll end that poll just because. But that's cool. And Aqua H is on the news for a particular reason. So I asked in the on the Facebook group if people were excited about it. I was a little bit surprised by the reaction. I expected everyone to be like, yeah, can't wait. And there were loads of people who were like, it was sort of 50-50. Some people were 50% were, yep, looking forward to it, can't wait. The other 50% were, they don't sell corals and fish, I'm not really bothered.
But they are selling coral.
Exactly. So that's the news I wanted to clarify, that they can sell corals. They can't sell livestock, which has a legal definition and includes things like, I think, snakes and fish, I think even invertebrates. But corals do not come with livestock.
You have to have a pet shop license, basically, and that building doesn't have a pet shop license, so you can't do it.
But they can sell corals, and there will be corals there. So there will be corals sold at Aqua H. And we said this before Christmas, or you said this before Christmas. If you haven't bought, I've bought my tickets now. Have you bought your tickets?
No, you got one for me, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I bought one for my wife. Have you got?
Yeah, but we both know she's not going to come.
You said. Like before Christmas, we need to buy tickets early to support them, to show them that they're coming. And you haven't bought your tickets. What are you?
Well, I got you to do it though, didn't I?
What are you going to do?
Technically, I have supported them.
I've bought my own tickets. What are you going to do after this live stream?
I'm going to wait for you to buy them for me, and then I'll send you the money.
I'm going to buy. If that's the rule, I'm going to buy you an iPhone, and then you'll send me the money for that.
I probably would. So,
for heaven's sake, I'm confused. What's going to be at Aqua H? Is it just dry goods? No, it's not. There'll be lots of dry goods, but there'll be corals there as well. So, but yeah, so
it's a shame that they can't because isn't it meant to be reptiles as well? That it's like it's
Yeah,
not
it's
just marine
not
fish.
just I think it's
It's
fresh
like a
water.
few. It's more like Aquashella really than I think than like
Okay.
obviously like I don't know this for as a fact, but Aquashella is marine fish, freshwater fish, reptiles. They even had a serval and an ostrich there, so so I'm assuming it's like that. But I don't know. So if anyone wants to see an ostrich, it's not going to be Aqua.
No,
Aquashella.
Yeah. But so you're going to buy your tickets because you were you were having a go at everyone a couple of weeks ago for
No,
not
I
buying
wasn't
tickets,
criticizing. I was just trying to motivate you into getting your tickets.
which I've done, and you haven't done yours. So
Yeah,
you're going to
but
buy your
look,
tickets.
do as I say, not as I do.
Ah, for heaven's sake.
You know
But
me, I
yeah,
don't like to leave my house. I might be busy that weekend.
you're going to go. You can't wait. You've told me.
I actually
Buy your
definitely will be
tickets.
going.
There we go. And everybody else should buy tickets as
Do you
well.
want to actually know the truth? I'm 99% sure I was on the website once, and I got to say, and then I got distracted by something, and I just didn't do it. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure when you said to me, I bought 2 tickets, and I sent you a message going, "Oh, I was only joking about you buying a second one for me," not realizing you bought it for your wife,
Yeah.
who definitely doesn't want to go.
Well, I've not even asked. She listens to this podcast the day after.
Yeah.
But I've not actually asked. I've just bought it in case she wants to go.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Right, you're just expecting a free ticket. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I got free ticket at Magna, so.
Quick question from the chat. Steph says, "Any of you guys bubble scrub these days?" Do you know what bubble scrubbing is?
That was like a fad that happened at one point that I think Aaron's Aquarium was like pushing, and like a few people would. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's something that
I've never been interested in. It looks like a terrible idea to me. I don't understand why you'd want it. I don't understand what problem it solves that you can't solve in other ways.
Right. So it basically the bubbles. It turns your whole tank into a skimmer.
Yeah.
So it sticks to all the waste and stuff that's in your rock, and it floats to the surface, and you do get a layer of like scum and bits of stuff that float around, and which then goes over your overflow into your filter stock and stuff like that. So it is doing something. If it's beneficial or not, I have no idea.
Maybe if you've got cyano or something, or a specific problem, but
Diatoms.
But yeah, maybe. But no one. I'm doing it, and Chummingham's Reef does it. Interesting. I was going to say no one does it, but apparently Chummingham does, and he actually knows his stuff.
True.
But no, I've never really looked into it because it doesn't really appeal to me. But news, 2 new YouTube channels, Ryan, in the saltwater aquarium hobby to talk about.
Wow.
One of them is a guy called Mr. Saltwater Tank.
Okay.
So he is back.
Is he?
So he obviously he's been around for years. He
never really went though.
He did. Well, he's been on saltwateraquarium.com for the last their YouTube channel for the last 2 or 3 years, and his channel there've been no uploads for I think 3 years, something like a long time. To the point, because I'm a nerd, I keep a track of the biggest YouTubers in the hobby by subscriber size, and I've removed him and Aaron's Aquarium from my list because they haven't uploaded for so long. So they're basically now he started again. That pushes me down a step because he's got.
Not good.
I'm close, and I'll catch him soon, but I'm annoyed because now I've been nudged down a step. But anyway, Mr. Saltwater Tank is back, and he's doing a 1,000 gallon build in his house. He's doing an extension to his house to accommodate it, and it looks really good. I would encourage you to go and check him out. Everyone knows Mr. Saltwater Tank already, but it's wicked, and that build looks really cool. There's another one called Yorkshire Reefer. I know you. I don't know why I'm even going to ask this, but
no, because I don't even know the main channels, let alone the new ones that just started. But I am intrigued what made this person stand out to you.
He's really good. So there are loads of, well, not loads, but every now and then a small channel will start up and YouTube will recommend it to me and I watch it, and it's just, there's nothing special about it. It's just, a first video. But Yorkshire Reefer's uploaded 6 videos, maybe less. I can't remember. But he's very comfortable in front of the camera straight away. And he's like Jay's Real Reef in that there's something about him that you just want to watch. So I would recommend going and checking out Yorkshire Reefer. You might not like him, but you might do. He's good, and I think he's so good, in fact, that I think if he doesn't get burnout,
Yeah.
He doesn't get into bed with the wrong people, and
Or
he doesn't.
demotivated.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
when nothing happens at the beginning, it's very
Yeah,
demotivating, isn't it?
exactly. And if he doesn't just start plastering his channel with free products, if he doesn't do all those things, I think he'll be up there with us in years to come.
Us. Don't say us. You mean you.
No, how many subs have you got? 50, 60?
Don't know.
Same. Basically, I'm saying he's going to be. That's how good he is. I think he's potentially brilliant.
I might actually look into that later.
Interesting.
Maybe.
It won't happen.
No, probably not. I'll do it at the same time I buy my tickets.
Check out. He's genuinely. He's really good. He's really entertaining.
Yeah.
News. Oh yeah, this I don't know if this is actual news, but this snuck under the radar for me. Waterbox do custom tanks. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's not actual news then. But I just saw it on Ultimate Reef. Someone said the other day, and I'd never noticed. And then you go onto the Waterbox website, and it lists all their normal tanks, but it also lists custom. But that's not new then. Is that not new?
No, well, I've known for a while that people have asked for quotes. I don't know how expensive they are. I assume it's more expensive than that. Well, it's hard to say. Like, it's more expensive than their normal tanks because obviously they're mass producing those, so they can make them cheaper. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to know. I don't even know how much a tank costs these days. If you wanted a custom one,
I've never. I did. I went and asked. What's the good one in Surrey? The Aquarium Connections. I asked them when I was setting up my Red Sea Reefer Peninsula.
Yeah,
but I didn't get a quote. I was just like, "Can you give me a rough idea? You know, am I talking more or less than an off-the-shelf tank?" And
more.
Yeah, exactly. But they couldn't really, because it's not like there's not a fixed price. There's so many variables. They couldn't really give me an idea. But it was more expensive. So I was like, you know, I wouldn't even know what to design at that point. Now I would know what I want in my sump and what I want the plumbing to do and all that. But at the time I would have been like, I don't know. So, but anyway, all right. Final piece of news is from the headline topic, which was the Reefbuilders 50 top 50 products of the year. Now, I actually anticipated that they might have revealed the results by now, and they haven't.
Top 50 products of the year. You didn't put that in the title when you lured me in to come chat with you.
What's the title say? The top 50
says
vote.
Top 50 vote. Yeah, I didn't know it was about products.
Well, there's good news for you in that case, because
there's no update.
There's not a lot of it is products. Well, that's not true actually, but it starts by saying that 50 exciting new products crossed our desk in 2023.
I would be hesitant to know if that's actually true with regards to what their specification of exciting is, because there has been nothing exciting for ages.
I agree with you, and that's the point of this. Really, is that they say 50. This is one of the things. If you worked I think you've worked in sales before in a roundabout kind of way. If your boss said to you, "Look, we need to go and tell this customer the 10 things that we do better than our competitor. Write down a list," and you'd be like, "Right, we're cheaper, better service, it lasts longer." And then you'd be like, after you get to 3, you'd be like, "Oh, I need 7 more." And you'd be like,
nice phone manner.
Yeah, our cabinets are blue instead of white, and you really run out. That's what happened with this list. So there are not 50 exciting things on this list.
Why didn't they just do 10?
That's what I would have done. But I kind of get the idea of putting 50. But there are a few things that really stood out as what?
Okay.
And like, so when I'm setting this top 10 list that you draw up when you're trying, you can only think of 4 things. The 9 and 10 of this is like, okay, mate. There are some good stuff which I'll come on to.
If 9 and 10 are like, okay, what's the other 40?
Well, there's a lot of stuff in. I'm being generous in a lot of it, but because it's been a quiet year for good stuff, I think. But a few of the things on the list were one of this, and this is top 50 exciting new products. One of them is Charterhouse Aquatics 3D printed products. So that's not a product, that's a range, that's a service.
Yeah. And where is that first on that list?
There's no particular order. That was first on my list. The stuff I pulled out, I was like, okay, that smacked a little bit of sponsorship. I
did wonder that actually myself.
Yeah.
It's an odd thing to have on that list.
a really odd thing. And the other thing, the next one on my list of stuff that doesn't really belong there, Red Sea Reefer S/Max tanks. So an exciting new product is a range of 20 different tanks. I mean,
But are they new?
I think they were new. Yeah, they came out within the last 6 months, maybe. Next one, this is really, you're going to love this, Ryan. This is so exciting. Calanus Drifters fish food.
That is very exciting.
Never heard of it. Don't know what it is, but it didn't sound exciting.
But it is in the top 50, so you should all go buy it.
Indeed. And the last two things on my list, one of them was, and this is a exciting new product.
Yeah.
Reefbuilders Ladies podcast of the Reef Therapy podcast.
Okay. Are you just slating their list now?
Well, I'm slating some of the list. The podcast, to be fair, is a very good podcast. They did another episode last weekend, I think. It's really good. It's worth a listen, but it's not a product. And it's your own. It's like me voting top 10 products of the year and putting one of my videos on there.
Are you telling me that you listen to the normal Reef Builders podcast?
Oh, that is the Reef Therapy podcast.
Okay, the women's one you just said, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's just this. So it's
it's the same thing, is it?
It's the exact same thing, and just 1 week, 2 weeks they've had an all women's one. So I listen to it regardless, or mostly anyway.
Okay, you also listen to this one again, and you watch like 15 to 20 YouTubers, some of them big and some of them just random people.
Yeah, and the rest.
How do you do this?
How do you not have time to do this?
Well, no, I have time. I just have no desire to do it.
I'm into it. And then the last new product that I wanted to put out was a captive bred tiger angel.
Well, technically, that is a new product.
Technically.
Yeah. Well, well, what do I sell then? Do I sell no products?
Yeah, but it's not, when you say product, you don't think, because all right, then in that case, I put Walt Disney tenuous coral on there.
Yeah, but it's not a new Walt Disney tenuous.
All right, well, what if I name it something else? Fuzzy Bollocks tenuous.
Then technically it's new.
Exactly. The point
Why is that the first thing that came into your head?
I don't know. It's weird. Ask a psychiatrist about it. But anyway, so the rest of the list, there was just lots of stuff on there that was like this. That was like, it's not that exciting. And this isn't, I'm not just criticizing the Reef Builders list, of course.
Yeah.
The point I'm really making is it's slim pickings.
Yeah.
And there's not been much. And I looked through the list and there was loads of stuff on there. Some stuff that was only just come out in the last couple of weeks. I was like, okay. But nothing on there excited me at all. And I like kit. But I pulled out the 7 things that I thought of the 50. There were 7 things that I thought could just about qualify. And actually, I only think 4 would make my final list. So if I was doing this, it would be a top 7. And this is not going to blow you away, Ryan. My top 7, though, of this 50 is Tunzi Osmolator 3, the new Tunzi ATO.
I don't even know. I didn't know it was out.
It's got a quieter pump, which is good, and a different sensor.
Yeah. No, it doesn't blow me away. I'm hoping you're starting from 7 to 1, not 1 to 7.
I don't think it gets much better than that. The Red Sea Reef Mat 250, so it's the smaller version of the Red Sea Reef Mat.
Yeah.
Again, smaller version of an existing product. AI Nero 7, slightly bigger version of an existing pump. Not really bothered. AI Blade, the light. Actually, the AI Blade, I think that's good. That's worthy of a place. But I'm into lights. AI Axis return pump. It's just a different return pump.
Yeah.
Seache contactless heater.
Oh, nice.
Which I think that is a new product. It's a weird innovation, and I think it's just weird, but it's a new product. And then the last thing on my list of 7 was the Red Sea Auto Top Off. But again, it's new and it's got some innovative features, but it's an ATO.
2018 was like the year for this hobby's new products. That was when the ReefBot first came out. It was when all the alkalinity testers were coming out. There were new fish filter rollers. Look, it might not be that have been specifically the year. So if someone goes, I had a filter roller in 2017. I just remember seeing all these products at Macna going, wow, these are like life changing. I remember seeing, those little things with the discs that are fish shops where they put your water in and you put the disc in and it tells you all your parameters. They were there. Not sure how accurate they are. I have a feeling they're not very accurate, but they're good enough for some people. But yeah, I remember seeing all these things going, these things are life-changing for hobbyists, whereas I haven't felt that way since.
That's it. And that's really the point of this, because those 7, and I think I pulled out the 7 most exciting, and none of them are really that exciting. But there are loads of others on the list that are like Reef Factory Dosing Pump Pro. That's a new version of the old Reef Factory Dosing Pump. It's like, what's a dosing pump? And it's just an updated version. It doesn't, it's still, all it does is dose stuff. It's nothing new.
The re-release of the Ion Director is actually the biggest news from this.
That's true. Well, that's come out this year. I think that was literally in the last 7 days. So maybe that will be on next year's Reefbuilders list. But there was nothing, just all the other stuff on there. I was like, Fluval FX UV clarifier.
No.
Wicked. What else is there? TMC nano tank, small tank.
Yeah, TMC also bought those jellyfish tanks.
Creasel tank, that was on. Actually, that was on there.
Yeah. See, that actually is something that's like
actually,
that actually
my list of 7 should have been 8. Actually, I'll put that on there. To be fair,
the reason I say that is because although there are other jellyfish tanks, they're not like readily available, and I think they're a bit more expensive. Whereas TMC's made a cheaper range of them, I believe.
That's fair. But an innovative marine fusion 15 aquarium, and there's like 3 or 4 tanks. It's like, it's just a tank. There's nothing major exciting. But you can vote for this. So because it's still open, you can go onto the Reefbuilders Facebook page and vote for it. And I went on to have a look just to see how the vote was going, and there were 2 things that stood out. What do you think is, of all the stuff, what gets your vote? What gets your vote, and what would you think is going to win?
So for me, you can only vote for one thing.
Yeah,
I'd vote for the angelfish, because it is like, and I would, and it's not because I have one or anything like that. It's because that is a big step in the right direction. A contactless heater is not a massive like game changing thing. Whereas the more advancements we get into breeding different species, the better.
Yeah,
there are some species which we have bred, which have allowed us to breed other species because of what we learned from breeding that one. So it might not just be simply, we've bred a king eye angelfish. They might have learned something. I'm almost certain they probably did, that will allow them to breed all different other angelfish of a similar type.
Yeah.
So that is, for me, that's the biggest thing on that list,
because it's a breakthrough rather than a product as such. But
yeah,
I think that's fair. I looked down the list. I think I would give it to the AI blade. The AI blade is not as good as some people.
It's just a light.
Some people have made out. And because it's got drawbacks, and I've seen loads of videos, a lot of BRS stuff that talk about it as if it's the best thing ever and it's amazing and it's perfect. It's not perfect. It's loads of drawbacks. Of course there is. You tell me one thing in life that's perfect apart from
that king eye angelfish.
Apart from the Prestige Reef Dork show, nothing is. So, but anyway, that is probably top of my list. But do you know what looked
How? One of them is like a significant advancement in like breeding in the right direction for the hobby, and the other is just a light that's been repackaged into a strip.
Am I ever going to buy a 20 grand captive bred angelfish?
Well, because it's captive bred, it might now be like 15 quid eventually.
Yeah, all right. Well, when it's 15 quid, then I'll vote for that.
Yeah.
But the AI blade is really good. It's really good spread. It looks really good, and I've got loads of them. But anyway. The point is, there's not really anything exciting on there. But on when I looked on the Reefbuilders Facebook page, do you know what was winning? Just a straw poll of what I thought looked like it was winning.
Oh, I don't know.
CJ Contactless heater.
No, it wasn't. No,
I swear to God, I
was going to say that as a joke.
My jaw dropped when I saw that. I was like, but there is one thing I will say. There was one of the pin that I think it was a comment from Reefbuilders that followed up to say, oh, by the way, if you work for a company that's on this list and you're voting for it, we're going to remove those votes.
Yeah.
And I saw at least one person from CJ had voted.
So you can see who votes, can you?
Yeah, you see, because they comment and say, and so you click on their profile, and there was one guy who worked for CJ. I was like, come on. And the way like lots of people are saying,
tell me you've never clicked like on your own video.
That's a bit different. One like, and I might get 1,000 likes. But anyway, and the way people were voting, most people would be like, oh, I want to vote for the King Eye Angel. but all the people who were voting for the Seache were all like hashtag Seache scuba and like talking in a way that you wouldn't talk. And so I did wonder if 90% of the votes were from Seache. But anyway, it does seem like it's more popular than you and I think.
No,
and there were lots of people, and
it's not.
Maybe,
I'm sorry, it's not.
Maybe they're Seache employees, but there are lots of people saying, "Oh wow, it's such a breakthrough! It's so exciting!" It's like it's a heater.
There is nothing exciting about a heater. This is nothing. This isn't an attack on them. I'm sure you'll agree. There's just nothing exciting. So, like the ion director, for example, exciting. Yeah. Like even a phosphate tester or even a light, but there is nothing excited about a heater.
That's the point. I wonder if the smart tester was on there. It's not.
Most people put a heater in on day one and forget about it until it breaks.
It's very true.
That's it.
I've just actually so the Reef Factory smart tester isn't on there. I think that should be on there, to be fair.
We're gonna get a cease and desist letter, wasn't it? From them.
But why do you want contactless? As like it's what the Seache heaters are brilliant because they got a 5-year warranty. They're reliable, they're simple, and they do what do you want from a heater? I want it to warm.
I think I've actually got one upstairs.
I bet you have. I would buy one.
in the quarantine tank, I think maybe.
But why are you putting a contactless chip in it? I don't understand it. Anyway, it doesn't make it worse. It's just I just don't see the point. It's a gimmick.
It doesn't make it worse. It just makes it weirder.
Exactly, and because it's weird and because it's such a gimmick, it annoys me.
but how did we both feel about that Fritz glass cleaner?
It's very, very true. I rolled my eyes when I saw Fritz glass cleaner. It was like money for old rope.
Yeah.
But
wait till we get one.
Yeah.
We'll be like, wow, this is the best thing ever.
Changed my life. Yeah. I don't want to be holding my phone by my sump to change the heater.
Your phone's waterproof. You'll be fine.
I did actually put it under water to see if I could take videos of my corals, but it did it. But yeah, a bit worse.
I did that for years, literally for years and years. I did that with one of the older phones. The only problem is, and it's not too bad. You have to flush it through with fresh water afterwards because in the their charger bit, it can be a problem. Because
that's probably because your phone's about 10 years old. So
yeah, I do need a new one, don't I?
You do. Luis Aceves says he has that heater. It's misleading, not Wi-Fi /Bluetooth. Okay, I think it would be better if it was Bluetooth, but even then, you don't need it to be Bluetooth. A heater just needs a dial.
Yeah,
on top, a manual dial. Does it matter? Because I suppose if it's contactless, you can go onto your phone and then set it to 26.3 instead of roughly 26. But does that matter? Stop criticizing it.
It's interesting. We actually do have someone who's actually got it.
Yeah, you have to be really close to change it to the settings. Use it on my Euphilia dip tank. See, that's exactly what we were talking about. Like how it would have to be right next to the glass. It's just a bad idea.
If it's right next, you might as well put your hand on it. If you've got to be that close.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could control it from the sofa, maybe.
Yeah. Bluetooth would be better because then you could just go bosh dum. But you don't need it anyway. Whatever. Let's just. Not having a dial on top is eliminating a point of failure, but you're introducing a new point of failure. Anyway, whatever. I would still buy a Seache heater. I'd still buy the Seache contactless because it's 5-year warranty. It's reliable. They've got a good.
You're one of those people voting it up, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm not actually going to buy it, but I could see myself buying it. I wouldn't rule it out just because it's contactless. I just think it's stupid.
I'm interested, Lewis. I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly, but very quickly, did you buy that heater because it was the only heater in the shop, or did you buy it specifically because it was contactless? Because if you didn't buy it specifically because it was contactless, then it's irrelevant, the fact that it's contactless.
I get the impression he did, but he wanted it because it was contactless, but who knows? I'm thinking of buying it purely for the warranty. Exactly, yeah. But then maybe that's the thing, because actually I've never really noticed the Seache. Maybe this is genius. I've never really noticed. When I've gone looking for heaters, that's not been on my radar. I buy the titanium ones.
Only heater available. That's what you said.
Okay. So I've never really noticed it, but now suddenly it's on everyone's radar, and maybe that gimmick will make you, because actually the underlying product is really good. It's a heater that's very, very good, very, very reliable. So maybe giving it something that makes it glossy and attractive is good marketing, and maybe that will.
If you think about it, if it's the same cost as a normal heater, you're going to buy one that's got contactless over one that doesn't if it's the same cost. So
Steve Webb says the Yorkshire Reefer went to a trade show and spoke to the CJ rep about that heater, and he said all kinds of stuff about why it was great. All I want from a heater is I want it to warm my tank up. I want it to
work.
I want it to be exactly. I want it to work. That's it. And the CJ already does that. Anyway, Alex, would you feel it would different if it were Wi-Fi as opposed to Bluetooth?
No.
Don't need like that would be less bad, but not good, because you don't need. Everybody loves Wi-Fi stuff and Bluetooth stuff, don't they? There's so much stuff in the hobby everywhere, any hobby, whatever, that is Wi-Fi. Return pumps are Wi-Fi. You don't need it to be Wi-Fi. I don't need my heater to be Wi-Fi.
No.
If I want, if a contactless chip is more reliable than a dial, fine, do it. But if it's not, why just leave it as a dial? What I want is for it to be reliable. I don't care about anything else. I want it to be reliable. So give me the most reliable method. If that's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, then give me Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. I suspect it's not, because a dial is that's got to be more reliable. What do I know? How many heaters have I made? Anyway,
what has happened is we have just given them a ton of advertising.
Exactly, that's the thing. There's
multiple times now.
There's
across
no
all
such
different live
thing
streams.
as bad publicity.
So,
do you know who said that? Max Clifford.
I don't know who that is.
He was a publicist who is now in prison because he was a sex offender.
Oh. Well worth taking advice from him then.
Exactly. But no, I don't think it is actually bad, but we not needed. We have temp probes. We're not changing, constantly set and forget. That's the thing. Heating controllers are very good.
Yeah.
And actually, if a heating controller was contactless, that would be better, because it's not in your sump. Anyway, look, no more. No, I'm never going to talk about the CJ contactless heater again in a negative light. If I talk about it again, it'll be because I'm saying something good about it.
Do you know what I would like? Because remember, not everyone has like a controller, an aquarium controller. So if they made a heater which was Wi-Fi enabled, that could tell you if there was a problem with your heat, if your temperature was too high or too low, that is actually a good product. Why is that not being made? Either a Wi-Fi one or a Bluetooth one, because then I suppose you can at least deal with it while you're at home, I guess.
But isn't it better to have a separate piece of equipment? Because if you're relying on a piece of equipment failing to tell you it's failed, isn't it better to have a separate piece of equipment?
But if you're going to buy a heater that can do it for you and it costs 30 quid or an £800 aquarium controller, I'd rather spend 30 quid and just risk it.
Max Clifford is dead. Good.
Well,
sorry.
I don't know what, as I said, I don't know what he did.
He was a piece of work, I think. But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, titanium heater is popular. I think loads of people have titanium heaters.
Yeah, I do. Most of mine are titanium.
Yeah, and so BRS always say that you should change a heater every year. I've had my titanium heater in my Red Sea Reefer for getting on for 6 years now, 5.5 years. I've not got any plan to change it.
Think how much money you've saved by not replacing every year.
And so the argument against that is, well, look, but you spend tens of thousands of pounds on your tank, or thousands of pounds anyway. So what's another heater a year? But it's so wasteful to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure heaters failing is a big cause of issues with a tank. But I've got a heating controller that will tell me if it has done.
Have you got one or two heaters?
Well, I did have two, but I've gone down to one.
Yeah, see, I always have two, and they're undersized. Not undersized, but like one of them will basically never come on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like border, so they can't overheat the tank and it can't underheat the tank.
That's the best way to do it, I think. Actually, technically, you should have two heaters and two separate heating controllers. Yeah, but that's a bit overkill.
Let's put it this way: it works so well on the coral farm that I think I went months without realizing that one of the heaters had failed.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
but I don't like waste as a general rule in my life. I don't like waste, and throwing away a perfectly good heater.
It's coming from the person that changes his lights constantly.
Well, yeah, but I sell them. I don't just throw them away. And you're not going to be able to sell a second-hand heater, are you? Anyway, we have moved into the world of rambling and waffling.
And we have 50 seconds left before you immediately go by, and like all of a sudden everyone's shocked that you've disappeared.
Yeah, I started doing that because I got a colleague who signs off his emails by saying bye.
Sounds a bit passive aggressive.
No, it's just funny. It just tickles me. It's not really funny, but I like it. I find it funny. Anyway, anything else you wanted to say before we wrap it up?
No, nothing. Oh, the only thing I will say is that, so obviously I've not been able to ship corals for the last like 6 weeks. This should have been the news. I can now start shipping corals again.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't it going to be cold this week?
So I can start shipping corals from Thursday next week.
Okay.
So, but don't tell people that, because once they put the order in, it's fine. They don't mind waiting until Thursday next week.
Yeah, to be fair, okay, cool. So there you go. So Prestige Reef headline news. Oh, we've not finished the news actually, so I've not done the end yet. But the last thing on the news is that Prestige Reef is now open for business.
Bye.
And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you very much for joining. Good to be back. Thanks for all the engagement and all the questions, that sort of stuff. And we'll catch you in a couple of weeks, in a week. See you next week.
Right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.